In this video, I'm going to go over how you create a bias when trading. So I'm going to be using some real life examples, but before we get into that, please like and subscribe to the channel. So for example, when you're creating a bias, the number one thing I would do is use a bigger time frame. For example, a monthly or a weekly or a daily. And you can even go on an hourly if you want. So there's a few different time frames, but I wouldn't go much lower than that. Honestly, I use daily, weekly, monthly to create my bigger time frame bias. The next thing you're going to want to do is make sure what levels are being respected on those higher time frames. For example, look at this gap. I've talked about this gap in prior videos. When we were up here, I had a very strong feeling we were going to be testing that gap, exactly what happened. And I kind of knew, hey, this gap has to be filled, so I'm going to be bearish. When we were up here, I knew to be bearish because I know, hey, we're going to go lower because we have to fill that gap. At least in my opinion, that's what I was expecting. So that created my bigger time frame thesis to trade off of, to be bearish. Obviously, I'm not always going to follow it every single day. Some days you read the price and you realize, hey, there's a good long setup, might as well take it. Obviously, I think sometimes it's a lot easier when you just stick to that longer time frame bias, but we could get into that in another video. So number one step, look at the bigger time frame. And then number two step, that's how you create your bias, looking at the bigger time frame. Number two step, look at the levels on those bigger time frames that are being respected and trade around those levels. So, or create a level and anticipate it being respected. So for example, this will be my real life example that's going on to this day. This gap right here, look at how we've traded around this gap. First time we touched it, what happened? Nice bounce. We failed, obviously. Not failed, but obviously you could have capitalized on a bit of that move because this is obviously through a span of a month. And then we finally go back down lower, test it again, second time, in my opinion, second time, not as strong. Get that fake bounce, and then we fail straight through it. Go right back into it. As you guys see, just follow my mouse right here. We go right back into it. Once we fail through it, break, retest of it to the short side, and then what happens? Set up the wicks, and then we fail. This was a support zone I had marked out on the weekly. We go right into that. We bounce. We break straight through the gap. Second time test of the gap, obviously weaker than the first, in my opinion. We go through it, break and retest again. Perfect setup, and then we're ripping. So we'll see what happens. This possibly, now the gap, honestly, I'm not going to be really trading around it anymore. Even this, it was nice to trade around, but now I'm looking at a few other things. One big thing I've been eyeing, had it marked out, this top, double top, strong chance we finally do break that. We'll see when we do. The only thing really throwing me off is this candle, this weekly candle from yesterday. Just that top wick, extremely ugly. We set up beautifully into this support zone, bounced beautifully off of it. But man, this top wick, if we could just keep running. Obviously, guys, it's really hard. You can't predict it. Obviously, I'd be a gazillionaire if you could just predict it, price. You just have to manage risk. For example, I'm always going with a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 risk to reward. Monday, winning day, risk 1 to make 2. Today, losing day, only lost 1, still up on the week. Keep doing that. Maybe a small weeks, maybe eventually you run into some monster weeks. For example, for me, sometimes I'm right every single day that week, and it just happens to be a monster week for me. Other weeks, maybe I'm break even, maybe I'm up 1R, 2R. It just really depends. But you just keep persistently going at it. You always manage risk, have good risk management, have good risk to reward. I could talk about that in other videos if you want. Just let me know in the comments. But to create bias, in this video, I'm going over creating bias. So those are kind of the two big things I would do. Look at a bigger time frame, what levels are being respected, trade around those levels. Obviously, always manage risk. And I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe and have a great day.